Walter Johnson, his wife Laura, and their son Connor lived in a small town in Maine. The Johnsons' family home had been passed down to Walter from his ancestors from generations ago. Walter and Laura have been living there for 19 long years. But Connor is now 18. He moved to New York City for college. And now Walter and Laura have the house all to themselves. And it was ever since that Laura started convincing Walter to renovate the property, or at least get rid of the woods on their property. Their house was surrounded by dense woods on all sides. There was a single small path that led out to the main road. Laura had been asking Walter to cut down the trees for years after years so she could have some peace of mind knowing what was out there. It was about 16 years ago that Connor had gone missing in the woods when he was only 2 years old. Walter and Laura were devastated. They started to panic the moment they realized Connor wasn't in the house, not in the barn, not anywhere in the yard. They knew there was only one thing that could happen. He wandered into the open woods. Walter and Laura immediately went out searching every inch and corner of the woods, calling out to their son. They returned home when it started to get dark out. Hopeless that with the passing of the night something horrible might occur, they called the police and informed them of what happened. The police sent a crew to search the area, but they found no luck. By dawn, however, when Laura put herself to sleep after crying for hours, the couple was startled to hear a cry in the yard. It was Connor. They rushed to find their baby sitting in the grass. His clothes, his body, his face was covered in dirt. He had twigs and small branches in his hair. Laura picked him up in relief, hugging and kissing him until her heart was content. It wasn't before long that they noticed a few unusual markings on his shoulder. Connor's shoulder was scratched, as if something had clawed onto his skin. Walter and Laura couldn't get their heads around what happened. They were sure that Connor hadn't been alone. Had someone trespassed onto their property through the woods? They tried talking to Connor, although talking to a 2-year-old wasn't of much use. All he kept repeating was, "Birdie, birdie." It was since then, along with a few animal attacks, superstitions, and just plain old fear, that Laura built a rather disliking to the woods and wanted to get it out of the way. It wasn't any easy task, and Walter had put it aside for as long as he could. He advised Laura that it would be wiser to keep a good eye on Connor instead of taking such a drastic step. And the parents did. They never let Connor out of their sight, and fortunately, nothing like that happened again. After which, trucks of logs were taken out of the property. Laura finally got what she wanted for so many years. She looked into the open space and finally got relief, knowing no beast or intruder could escape her eyes. But it was from then that strange things started to occur. That evening, it started raining heavily. It wasn't rare to see it rain, but it was rare to see such heavy rain go on for so long. Walter, however, liked the wet weather. He He hoped it would clear out the debris that collected outside during construction. That night, the couple went to bed. Laura was deep asleep, but it always took Walter a while to snooze. It was around 1 a.m. that Laura woke up, waking her husband up. "Walter, wake up! You hear that noise? What is that? Sounds like someone scratching on the window." Walter sat up. He looked at his wife, panicked. The shrilling noise was louder than the pouring rain. It sent chills down his spine. "Check the window, Walter." Walter hurried to the window and pulled the curtains open. He saw nothing but the pitch-black night outside. No one was there. The couple shrugged it off the first night. And the second. By the third night of being disturbed by the same noise again, Walter became irritated. "I'll go check outside this time." Walter grabbed his rifle and went out to the side of the house where his window was. It had been raining for 3 days straight. Walter was soaked wet by the time he reached around the house. He was frightened when he saw something move in the far distance. It was a dark figure lurking in the trees.
Walter was startled when it turned around and faced him. He saw 2 glowing yellow eyes glaring at him before the figure vanished into the deep woods.
What was that? A bear? A wolf? Walter walked a little closer, squinting his eye. He took a stop when he noticed something that made no sense. He hunched down and looked at the mucky ground. There were footprints, but Walter couldn't tell what animal could have left them. They were the size of his hands, but had 4 claws, 3 to the front and another at the heel. What in the world is this? Walter hurried back inside. When he got to his room, he saw Laura was up. The lights were on. She called him to the window and pointed. "Walter, something was definitely here. It's not just in our head. Look at the scratches on the window." Walter took a close look. Indeed, something sharp had scratched the thick glass. This couldn't have been possible with bare hands. Whoever did it needed a knife or something of the sort.
The next night, Walter decided to stay in the barn and keep a lookout. He was idly sitting by the fire he kindled when he heard a strange noise over the heavy rain. It was windy, but the sound of the gusts of wind didn't seem natural. Walter got his rifle and sneakily stepped out. He was horrified when he saw the same dark figure he had seen before, except it was only a distance away. It was hunched on the ground, its back covered with a black feathered. It was too big to be a bird, and it wasn't a bear or a wolf either. It was something else. Walter loaded his rifle and yelled, "Get off of my property." As soon as the thing was aware of Walter's presence, it turned and gave a piercing, wicked look. Enraged at Walter was frightened to see its face. What was it? wasn't a cloak. It spread its wings and jumped to the roof. It cried so loud. Walter held his ears, but before he could do anything, a huge bolt of lightning hit the ground in front of him. Walter nearly escaped death that night. He fell into the mud unconscious. The next day, Walter woke up in his room. Fortunately, his wife found him and brought him inside. She was shocked when Walter told him what happened. The couple spent the rest of the day replacing all their locks and adding guardrails to their windows and doors. They informed the police, who spoke to them politely, but Walter could sense they had a hard time believing him. But Walter did it to get some peace of mind. Sleeping wasn't easy for the next few nights, although whatever it was hadn't returned. The storm had only increased, and there were no signs of its end. Walter and Laura turned on the TV. They were surprised to see the name of their town in the headlines. Breaking news for the town of Belfair. A severe thunderstorm has been ravaging through the area for more than a week now. The dark clouds and pouring rain seems to encircle only the town of Belfair. Meteorologists are bewildered by the abnormal weather. Nothing like this has ever occurred in Belfair before. They predict this may go on for many more days. It was on the next Sunday. Laura brought home a guest. Walter didn't recognize the elderly woman. She wore strange clothes, had an accent. Laura took him aside and whispered, "She's one of our neighbors. She's a native of the area. We got talking at the shop and I told her what happened. I invited her over and she told me she recognized the creature." Laura and Walter sat with the elderly woman at the table. They waited to hear what she had to say. The elderly woman took out a wooden sculpture from her bag. It was a small totem pole. "I believe what you have encountered was the Thunderbird." The elderly woman placed a small totem on the table. "It is a symbol of power and strength among my people. It is not only respected, the Thunderbird is highly feared. We can never do anything to upset it, to invoke its anger. We fear a terrible calamity will fall upon us if that day ever comes. It has protected us and protected these lands from harm and destruction. But if we earn its anger, we may be doomed by destructive winds, floods, and burning lightning. The flapping of its wings brings about loud booms of thunder, rain, and storms. Its teeth and claws are sharp as spear. It can pick up anything with its talons, unimaginable to the ordinary bird. Perhaps there is some evil lurking around here. Otherwise, it is not common for the Thunderbird to appear to humans. Something must have angered the mighty presence." "But what? It's just my wife and I living here peacefully. We've never been involved in anything bad, let alone evil. We were just renovating the property. We cut down the trees and had some plans about barricading the property from wild animals when all of this suddenly started to happen." The woman widened her eyes. She banged on the table and stood up. "What have you done? You interfered with nature. You destroyed the earth without right. You have called upon yourself the wrath of the Thunderbird. And now all of us, everyone around you, will have to suffer the consequences as well. When the rain started about a week ago, I got a feeling something auspicious had occurred in the land, and what I predicted was correct. This is a curse, a punishment from the mighty Thunderbird. I fear something terrible will occur. I can't stay here any longer. The woman left the house. She held her ears and trembled to the loud rumbling of thunder. A curse. This is a curse. Hold on. Is there something we can do? The elderly woman looked up to the skies. After a moment of standing silent in the rain, she turned and said, "A ritual must be performed. A sacrifice needs to be made. You must seek the mercy of the Thunderbird." "What sacrifice?" "Place this inside." "Wait. Do not cover it. You must quench its thirst. You must give a life for a life."
If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family.